Welcome back, baseball fans, to Season 4, Episode 3 of Around the State, a Prep Baseball Alabama podcast discussing all things relative to baseball, prep baseball across the great state of Alabama. I am Deep South Supervisor David Sharp, along with the Alabama Scouting Director, Austin Sharp. Good evening, Austin. How are you, man?
I'm great. It was good to dust off the dust off our radar guns this past week. We both went to a couple umpire scrimmages, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But just creeping closer to that opening day next Thursday. I know I plan on being at games on Thursday, and then I know you possibly as well. And then Friday, starting off the kickoff classic in Birmingham, and then after that first weekend, you know how it goes. It's just season's gonna roll on, and area play will be here before we know it.
That's right. And teams are obviously gearing up across the state, putting in a lot of work. Coaches and players alike, I'm sure, are ready to get going. I'm sure they're ready to play somebody else by this point of practice. That's why those umpire scrimmages are so good. And it was such a good day on Saturday, man. It was hard to stay at home and ruin a good day by not getting out. So you mentioned we both got out there.
Shout out to Bart Butler. Texted me, I think, at 10 o'clock Friday night and said they got an umpire scrimmage at 12 o'clock. I said, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I know you got to go watch some games at Guntersville as well.
I did. And what a beautiful backdrop there at Guntersville High School, man. Great place to watch a game. But, again, we're into episode 3. This is our Q&A session from the audience, from our listeners. Basically that have sent in questions throughout the week, and we've got about 10 or 12 questions, I believe it is. It is not too late to get any questions in. If you have any questions that you would like for us to answer, you can just throw them in that chat box there under comments. We'll get to those, during the course of this episode. So you can get those in. I do want to say, the first 2 weeks, we've had over 7,300 viewers. That was like 4,200, 4,100 on episode 1, and then about 3,300 on episode 2. So we appreciate all of you getting back into the swing of things, man, as we crank this thing back up for the high school season. Obviously, we've talked about it. These first couple podcasts are not our normal podcast, I guess you can say. We'll talk more about that in just a minute, but you mentioned it. We're going to get into some Q&A here, but let's talk about a couple things before we do that. Like I said, you still got time to get questions in if you want to. And Austin mentioned getting out to some umpire scrimmages this past week on Saturday. I was able to get out and see a little bit of Boaz in Albertville, Madison County, and then Madison County and Guntersville. I'll be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of the hitting was behind a little bit, but that is to be expected this early in the season. The pitchers will be behind. Did get a chance to see our number 1 player in the 2028 class. We'll see if he's still number 1 tomorrow as we release our 28 rankings. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But I was able to get out and see Hudson Oliver. It's an impressive looking youngster, junior future gamer from this past summer. Went up on the mound, was really commanded all 3 pitches, a fastball and some late depth on a curveball. Was able to locate 3 pitches. And then I think if you follow us on Twitter, you saw that shot he hit to the backside gap, ended up in a double, maybe should have been caught. But again, the ball was smoked off the bat. You can see why there's a lot of potential with him moving forward. And I was able to get out there. And as you mentioned, I think you were at Opelika for a couple games there for the umpire scrimmage.
Yeah, Opelika and Russell County played in a umpire scrimmage, and it's tough to get a gauge in the umpire scrimmages. Obviously, they're starting and stopping with getting the umpires ready for the season, but did get to see some 2 good teams.
I'm sorry to be laughing, but I just got a text from a high school coach telling me their umpire scrimmage is this Saturday.
Oh man. Coach Butler texted me Friday night and was able to make it there. Started on 12 on Saturday, and Opelika's debuting that brand new artificial turf playing surface, and it's a pretty sweet deal. And I know obviously Coach Butler in his first year at Opelika, after being at Central for the past few years, I think he's going to be he's going to get the program rolling. And they've got some good talent. Brody Jones, Ty Hudson, Hank Hudson. They've got Davis. We got to see Davis Ford, and then Russell County. They had a left-handed pitcher who we've heard good things about. He's committed to Southern Union. Seth Erickson. He's 6'1", 210 pounds. Was up to 90.4. Was 88 to 90 for the majority of his outing, and impressive stuff. He's got a good breaking ball. His fastball. He hides the ball well. He throws the fastball comes out kind of. The slot comes out kind of by his ear, and he really pulls down on it, backspins it well. It's got tons of life in the zone, and had a bunch of strikeouts. I think he threw 3 or 4 innings gearing up for the season. But yeah, it's good to get back out at the baseball field, and looking forward to continuing that here over the next week or so with the season coming up. I'll go ahead and get us into our next couple topics we've got. As always, be sure to visit our merchandise shop. That's shop.prepbase. Is it? I've got the graphic.
Shop.prepbaseball.com, right?
That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Shop.prepbaseball.com. We've got obviously that was released a few months ago. We've got a bunch of sweet prep baseball apparel on that website. Some stuff that I know we both have purchased, and I've got a sweatshirt coming on the way. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. It's probably best if I stay off that website because I'm probably going to end up spending money. But got some sweet stuff there. Hope to see some people wearing some new prep baseball apparel this spring. We'll get into our next topic. Started doing this. This is the first year we've been doing this. I've done it the last 2 episodes. That's our commitment corner, where we highlight some of the notable commitments from the past week. And as always, be sure if you commit, be sure to tag us on Twitter. That's where we see, if you're wanting us to get updated in your profile and on our website, tag us on Twitter in your announcements or send it to us, or there's an option on your profile where you can submit a request for a commitment. So that's how we go about doing these. And we'll start off with our first one, a familiar face, Bryce Rivers, 2026 infielder from Mobile Christian, a former future gamer from this past summer, committed to Nicholls State. Is going
Bryce can hit. He can hit, man.
He can, yeah, and he showed that. He's shown it for. He's two or 3 time future gamer. Yeah, was a middle of the order hitter last year for Mobile Christian, and should be this year once again. That's a really good get for Nicholls State. He can really hit, and so congrats to Bryce and his family. Next couple, we've got Austin Miller, 2025 right-handed pitcher, first baseman from Cottonwood. He committed to Enterprise State. Nick Sluchik, 2025 left-handed pitcher from Central Phoenix City, committed to Point University over the week. You've got 2025 outfielder Brix Cameron from Central Phoenix City, committed to Enterprise. We talked about Bartov last week, didn't we? He committed, because I know Central had 3 commits.
Yeah. He was the last one from last week. Yes.
Yeah. We got the last 2. Tyler Johnson, a 2025 third base right-handed pitcher, was at the North Alabama preseason All-State a couple weeks ago. He committed to Reed State Community College. And then our last one, 2025 right-handed pitcher from Etowah, Jamison Sissom, committed to Jacksonville State. He was a future gamer from 2 years ago. He committed as a 2-way athlete. He's going to play quarterback. Had a big spring for the Blue Devils on the gridiron, and looks ready to have a big season on the baseball field. So he's going to do both at the college level. So congrats to Jamison, and congrats to all 6 of these guys for announcing their commitments and announcing their commitments to college programs.
I'm going to throw a shameless plug in here. Look out for Etowah in 4A. I think they return 8 starters, 7 arms. We'll get to our polls later, but Etowah, year in, year out, they're going to be there, but they bring back a lot from last year. We'll move forward. Before we get into our questions, you probably have noticed we are giving one final update to our player rankings before the high school season begins, and that takes place during this week. On Monday, we started with the 2025s. On Tuesday, we continue with the 26s. Today, we released our updated 2027s. And then tomorrow will be our updated 2028s. These are state player rankings across Alabama. This is not a big update for the rankings. These are small things, moving players up some here or there. Now, there have been some guys that have really made some jumps, and that's been based off of us seeing them at our January preseason events. But mostly it's been, just a couple spots here or there, just as a quick little. Just want to say something, Austin?
Yeah, and we talked about it behind the scenes. We're fresh off the preseason events, kind of that recency bias, but we don't want to punish a kid for not coming to an event just because, because coming out of the off season, you're going to be at your best. You're going to be close to probably as best as you're going to be for the next, you're fresh coming out of the off season. So we try not to overreact and to, put kids above kids who didn't come to a preseason event, because those kids may have made the same kind of jumps that the other kids have made that didn't come to an event. So trying to gauge it different ways, but try not to punish or hurt kids for not coming to an event. So like you said, it was a smaller update in some places, kind of moving around, some subtle changes. Tomorrow, like you said, the 2028s will come out. Not much movement there. I think we've got 25 in that class, and we'll see. They're going to be a little adding a few more from our preseason events and moving around a little bit. But I value a lot of in-game performance, kind of combining what we see from our events. How are you in a showcase setting, but also combining that into how you play in game? Does it translate, or are you just a showcase guy who comes up and puts up big numbers and can't hit when the game the lights come on in game? So that's kind of combining both of those aspects of it.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week with Shooter, about the importance of gameplay, and I don't mind saying this. There were a couple guys this week that really performed well at showcases that we had in January, but we didn't want to just jump the gun and move them up 70 spots because of their showcase measurables. I mean, again, you got to see it in gameplay as well. And, it's and that question was asked last week about metrics versus gameplay. It all goes into account when we're ranking these players. But yeah, again, all of them have been just a slight update. Just real quick, I'm gonna go through the top 5 for the 25s, 26, and 27s because I don't want to go through all of them. But in the 25 class, we had one little jump there in the 25 class. Caleb Barnett from Mountain Brook stayed at number 1. Eric Hines stayed at number 2 from American Christian, and outfielder. Those two guys just got back from the Super 60. We talked about them last week. Both of them showed very well. You and I were talking today about Caleb Barnett's video, man, at third base. Mm-hmm. And you said he looks like a shortstop playing third base. And I responded at 6'6". And I think he was, again, 93 across the infield like he was at the North preseason. So, he's got a listen, he's got a chance to have a big stock up. Yeah.
He's big stock up.
Yeah, without a doubt. Mikael Holden, right-handed pitcher, going to Alabama from Thompson High School. We've heard he's maybe touching some middle nines, and looking forward to seeing that. We hope he is.
Speaking of Thompson, did you see their signing day today?
I did.
12 players.
Whew. That's awesome. Coach Perez does a great job there. And I saw that. That was incredible, man. In the Thompson athletic department, period, man. I mean, that's just, it's amazing. Steele Hall, who recently reclassed from the 26 class, he comes in at number 4, stays at number 4, shortstop from Hewitt. That'll be headed to Tennessee. And then we did move, I think, from number 7, Zach Johnson, catcher, reigning 7A hitter of the year in 2024 last year, catcher at Bob Jones. He's also signed with Alabama. He moved up to number 5. That was the only change we had in the top 5 in the 26 class, 25 class. Jumping to the 26s, we'll go over the top 5 there as well. Number 1, staying at number 1. I think, these 5 stayed, so we're not going to spend much time on them. John Stowers, the Auburn commit, catcher at St. Paul's Episcopal. We'll see him in the South Alabama Showdown. A set of Hoover teammates come in at 2 and 3. Will Adams, left-handed pitcher, first baseman. He's headed to LSU. Jackson Wood, a shortstop that was headed to Rocky Top up to Tennessee. We'll see those guys next weekend in the Kickoff Classic. At number 4 is an Auburn commit, first baseman from Headland, Wyatt Shelley. And then rounding out the top 5 in the 26 class is an infielder, Levi Nikolai from Homewood High School. He's also headed to Auburn. So as you can see, that's 5 big-time SEC programs there for those top 5 in the 26 class. The 27 class was just released a few hours ago. We had just a couple little small changes here. And I'm going to tell you, the 27 class we think is a really deep class.
I would put the top 3 or 4 of our 2027 class up against the Georgias, the Carolinas, the Floridas. It's some high-end talent at the top.
I agree. And I think it's fairly deep as well. This 27 class in Alabama is really good. Staying at number 1 is Rocco Maniscalco. Shortstop, played some third base last year. Obviously, Carter Johnson was there from Oxford. He's at number 1. At number 2, making a little jump up from 4 is Paul Barnett, shortstop, right-handed pitcher who was up to 92.3 at our North Alabama preseason All-State from Mountain Brook. Obviously, that's Caleb's younger brother. I know he doesn't want to be called Caleb's younger brother, but it is his younger brother. Paul is at number 2. Jamarcus Smith, who's been at number 1, who's been at number 2, quarterback on the Reeltown State Championship football team, also an electric arm from the right side. We've seen plenty of video. You know, he's 92, 93 with an absolute wipeout slider. He's at number 3. JB Upton, a guy that was very impressive at our North Alabama preseason All-State, switch hitting infielder, and he also, I think, can play some outfield from Auburn High School. He's at number 4, but that bat tool really plays from both sides. Really like him from the left side. And then Brew Milner, catcher from Tallahassee, a guy that we've seen 2 or 3 different times, continues to just, we've talked about it. There's some other catchers in that class that we've sort of compared and contrasted between. And Bruce, I think the separator there is the bat, man. The bat really plays, can really swing it. And the catching, the skills behind the plate are coming on as well. I mean, but that bat plays, and that's the top 5. And then, as I mentioned, tomorrow we will be releasing our 2028 revamped rankings. Again, won't be much change, but I'm not going to go over those 5 because we haven't, to be honest with you, we have not even finalized them yet. So that'll be on the lookout for that tomorrow.
And speaking just on, Jamarcus was number 1 a few months ago. Now he's number 3. Our thoughts, our feelings on Jamarcus haven't changed a bit. We still think Jamarcus is one of, if not the top pitcher in the 2027 class, maybe in the country. It speaks to Rocco and Paul. I think you would agree as well.
I think that, this is not said to appease people. This isn't said to please people. But you look at those top 5 that we just talked about, there wouldn't be a problem having those 5 in any order. I mean, Rocco, I think Rocco, the summer he had last year, I think maybe he is 1. But then you look at 2, 3, 4, 5, and even throw number 1 in there. I think that there's a lot of, you could go 1 through 5 in a number of different orders there. But that 27 class is hard to rank because they're so talented. And again, Jamarcus may end up being number 1, but it's not the end all be all. So, but again, be on the lookout for the 28s tomorrow. So now we'll jump into the questions that have been submitted to us. Again, if you have any more, we'll try to get to them. I'll get us cranked up. If that's okay with you, Austin. Is that good?
Yep. Go with it.
I'll get us cranked up. Number 1, our first question was, who are the favorites to come out of the 7A areas this year? Man.
Starting off with the big one.
Starting off with the big one, I know. Austin, you want to answer
this
one? I think you're going to answer for both of us, because we listen, our rankings come out next week, and we're obviously knee deep in our rankings right now, our team rankings that'll come out. So we've discussed these teams. Austin, what are your thoughts?
to come out of each area, I guess we'll start in area 7A, area 1 down in the southern part of the state. To be
And if
honest,
I
I misread the question. I thought who was the favorites to come out of 7A this year. So I'll go down. I'll start at 7A area 1.
If I disagree, I'll speak up. How's that?
All right, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go Mary G. Montgomery in area 1 with Baker. Mary G. Montgomery or Baker, I'll go Mary G.
I agree. I agree.
Area 2, Daphne, Fairhope, Foley, and Robertsdale. I'm gonna side with Fairhope. You got Robertsdale coming up from 6A this year. I'm gonna go Fairhope.
I'm gonna go Fairhope to win it. Yes, agree.
Okay. Area 3, Dothan, Enterprise, Jag, and Carver. I'm gonna go Enterprise, but I expect Dothan to be better this year. I'm gonna go Enterprise.
I got Dothan as the area runner-up there. Yes, I got Enterprise winning it.
They're about to get. We've agreed on these first 3. They're about to get tougher. Area 4, you've got Auburn, Central Phoenix City, Smith Station, and Opelika. I'm going to go Central Phoenix City.
Yeah, I'm going Central, and then that's going to be a dogfight for that number 2 spot.
Yeah,
we talked about it. Central just wins, man. They know how to win.
Yeah, and then Auburn will be good. Smith Station will be good. Opelika. It's four really quality teams. Yep. Area 5, you got Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, the defending 6A state champions coming up from 6A to 7A. Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, Prattville, Thompson, Tuscaloosa County. I'm going to go Thompson.
Yep.
I'm going to go Thompson.
I'm going Thompson too. And again, I think that's also a situation where there's 3 teams that we both think Thompson's coming out, but I think all 3 of those teams could finish runner-up.
Yep. Area 6, Hoover, Hewitt Trustful, Vestavia Hills, and Oak Mountain.
I know who I'm going with.
I'm going to go Hoover.
I'm going to go Hewitt.
Okay.
Barely. Yeah.
Area 7, Albertville, Grissom, Huntsville, and Sparkman. I'm going to go Grissom.
I'm going to go Grissom. I'll talk about Grissom later in this show as well.
Yeah. And then Area 8, Austin, Bob Jones, Florence, and James Clemens. I'm going to go Bob Jones.
I'm going to go Bob Jones as well.
I know.
Yeah. James Clemens. Yeah, that's a good area. Yep. So that's who our favorites are to come out of the areas in 7A. Our next question is, who will be the team to watch out of Mobile this year? Good question there.
You look at Mobile, you've got obviously the higher class teams, the Daphnes, Fairhope, Robertsdale, Mary G, Baker, 6A, Saraland, Gulf Shores, Spanish Fort. There's some pretty good, like the private schools down in Mobile, I think, are really strong, as they have always been.
I think you got to go to 5A. You got to go to 5A.
Yep.
Is that where you're going? I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah. Getting into 5A. Listen to this area. 5A area 2: Citronelle, Viger, St. Paul's, Faith Academy, and Mobile Christian. That's that's a good area with St. Paul's, Faith, and Mobile Christian too. UMS Wright. 4A, you've got Orange Beach, Bayside Academy. So there are some really good team. Baseball's really, and I was looking at the 2020 when I was doing the 2027 rankings over the past few days. The 2027 class has a lot of really good players in the south part of Alabama.
Did you mention Spanish Fort in 6A?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really good this year.
I may not have mentioned. I don't know if I didn't. I meant to.
I'm mentioning them now. Yeah, I think they're going to, and they're a program that notoriously wins in the postseason. Man, they're always Elite Eight, Final Four, into the championship series. You cover a lot of them. And there's a lot of good teams there, but I think a team to really look out for is Faith Academy. They played a lot of young kids last year. I like the top of that rotation. I think Faith I think they've got a chance. I think they have here. But again, area Falls, Mobile Christian in one of those three. Bill, moving on. Our next question, area statewide, the 6A area 7. Our next question, area statewide.
I think David's Wi-Fi is not great.
6A area.
You got me?
I've got you. You got me?
Yeah, you're going in and out. I pulled up the Twitter live stream. You're a little. David's Wi-Fi is not great. I think you're good. I think you're good now.
Okay.
Going in.
Well, let's talk about them. It's Helena, Chelsea, Spain Park, and Pelham. Two teams that come down from 7A. That is a big time 6A area.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Austin.
Starting with Chelsea. Chelsea, obviously, we've talked about it, and when we were doing the 2026 rankings, Chelsea ended up with three pitchers inside the top 15. You got Grant Hill, Silas Osborne, and Branson Hogan. All have been in the low 90s on the mound. Then you've got seniors like Chase Lackey, Paxton Stallings, Aiden Hughes, Mac Brazil, Jackson Price, Aiden Craven. So a really talented roster there. A lot of returners. Spain Park has Reese Jones. And Spain Park lost a good bit from last year's team with Matthew Widra, Chapman Blevins, Aiden Burke. They were pretty senior heavy. CJ Gross on the mound, Blake Patrick. But we've talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on this podcast, but behind closed, off air, Spain Park's younger class is, especially their 2027s and 2028s are really good. But you've got Reese Jones coming back, who just committed who was an everyday starter at second base last year. And then some other guys who played some roles for him. And then I assume those underclassmen, they'll start to look to this year. So Spain Park's always, I think we went into the season last year with Spain Park, kind of question, not knowing what they had coming back, but they had a bunch of seniors who stepped in. I expect them to be the same again this year. Helena, similar to Chelsea, has a lot of quality returners coming back. Braden Kendrick, Nick Peters, Jarrett Scott, Braden Dockery, Davis Kelly, a few other guys for Helena. Was ranked inside the top 5 in 6A last year for the majority of the season. And then Pelham, Pelham's, and I know you've talked about it, Coach Guy Howard takes over there. And we both know how good he'll do a great job with Pelham and get that program rolling. With 20 Andrew Petrock leading the way, who hit the top of the order for them last year, 2026 infielder, in addition to some other guys. 6A Area 7 is probably one of the toughest areas in 6A, maybe in the state. You look at the arms with Chelsea's got, and then Spain Park and Helena are always going to be dog fights, and Pelham is a program on the rise. So definitely going to be a storyline to follow throughout the season. I'll move on to our next question. What are some of y'all's favorite high schools to visit? I guess this is kind of more of a personal question, so I think we kind of narrowed it down to 3 each, so I'll name my 3. I'm going to start with Thompson. And I think we got asked this question last year, and I named Thompson. Their athletics obviously are rolling, baseball, football, basketball, you name it. Their athletic department does a great job. They've got great facilities. I love going to watch games at Thompson. They bring a good crowd. It's always a great environment. Next one is Oxford at Chocolaco Park. Those who have been to Chocolaco Park know how great of a facility is. Obviously hosts the state championships at the end of the year, and it's a cool setting to go and watch a baseball game at. And then my final one, and these are in no particular order because this one could be number 1, and that's Orange Beach, the Orange Beach Sportsplex. We got to obviously had our South Alabama preseason All-State there a few weeks ago and got to see the new locker room, the new indoor facility, That's another place where athletics is really rolling, especially down, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach. So I'm going to go with those three in Thompson, Oxford, and Orange Beach.
Well, I'm going to go with three others. And I agree with you on your three, too. I could easily name those three, but I'm going to go with three of them. My first one is James Clemens. I think we got a little rivalry started last year between James Clemens and Orange Beach because they both played great music at the games. And we were talking about, I think I tweeted something out about the music that James Clemens plays. And then Orange Beach came right back at me and said, hey, man, what about our music? But James Clemens, it's a big open place. What I like about it is the backdrop behind the hitter. It's all netting. There's no wall, so it's really easy for us to get video there. But again, play great music. They really take care of us out there. And I think I'll say this too. I don't mind. I think I'll say this because the three of mine, I just figured this out. But the three of mine always tell me, help yourself at the concession stand.
Yeah.
So James Clemens, they take care of me there. After James Clemens, hate to go with an area rival, but I'll go with the Bob Jones Patriots.
You said James Clemens first, though.
I know, man.
Bob Jones, y'all heard that.
Bob Jones, yep. I'm sure they'll have something for me when I show up. But Coach Smith and his crew always have a table right behind the plate for me every time I show up, and they're out there cooking chicken. And they used to give me chicken. I hope they still do after last year when I picked against them in a round. But yeah, that's another. Again, the Madison City Schools there, James Clemens and Bob Jones, they are, their baseball programs, athletics are important there. They do a good job. There's a reason why those two teams are very successful. And then my third one, maybe a little bit off the beaten path for me because I haven't been there just a ton, but every time I go probably once or twice a year. That's Hewitt-Trussville, the new turf field there. That Birmingham metro area, we talk about some of the best baseball played across the state. Well, there's a reason why. It's because they invest in their athletes and in their coaches and in their facilities. And I know Coach Malden's wife, every time I come there, she makes sure I've got a seat on the front row. She asks me if I want anything at the concession stand. It's just, and I think, look at the 6 places that we talked about. All 6 of them, number one, the facilities are off the charts. But number 2, when we go there, we're going to see quality baseball. And that has a lot to do with it as well. So those are just 3 each. Those aren't the only 3 each. There are some other places that we enjoy going as well. Our next question, and I think you have to, who are your sleeper teams in 7A? Number one, I think you have to define what is a sleeper. I think, obviously a sleeper is someone that you're not talking about a lot. Well, we haven't put our rankings out. And these 2 teams we're going to talk about, they may be ranked, they may not, don't know yet. But I'm going to go, and I mentioned this team earlier, I'm going to go with the Grissom Tigers. Grissom won the area last year, got better throughout the year. They return a lot of their team from last year. Obviously, the headliner is Charlie Cassingham, shortstop, right-handed pitcher. He's, I guess, their game 1 guy. I guess they'll use him in game 1 area series, headed to South Alabama. Left-handed hitter, just seems to just produce day in, day out. You've got others, Josh Burrell, Dalton Darden. I'm going to be leaving some people out. I said Josh Burrell. You've got do what now? Yeah, I said Burrell. But there's some other pieces there as well. Darwin to also be another arm for them. Garrett Blacklock is a guy that has played for them for a long time. They're going to be expecting some things for him this year. I like Grissom this year. I think they're really going to be able to hit. I think they're going to be able to bang the ball around the park, and I think they've got enough pitching to keep them in any area series and in any state playoffs that they may get into. So give me the Grissom Tigers as a sleeper team.
Yeah. Did Grissom, Sparkman won that area last year, correct?
Sparkman won. No. Grissom won, and Sparkman finished runner-up.
Okay. Hold on.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Like you said, the Jackson Davis is another one.
Yes.
Zach Ship, Griffin Grigsby. You said Dalton Darden, but yeah,
Yes.
I like Grissom
the
as well.
The kid that moved from Oxford, Dad. I'll think about it. Go ahead. I'll get back to it. Great Grayson Strobel. Yes.
Yeah, Strobel.
Second baseman for them. Yes.
I'm going to go. You went in the north part of the state. I'm going to go in the southern part of the state. Team that made a run to the Elite Eight last year. Team that we're going to see in the second week of the season at the South Alabama Showdown. Going to be one of our hosts for the first time, and that's Fairhope. I really like Fairhope. I liked them last year, and they've got some guys coming back at the plate and on the mound. At the plate, you've got Rock Gearhart, uncommitted senior. Brian Martin hit at the top of the order last year. Miller Humphreys is another quality left-handed bat in the lineup. Blake Westry, the catcher for them, I think had 5 or 6 home runs last year as a junior. On the mound, we got Will Sparks, right-handed pitcher who's headed to South Alabama. Harrison Cook, another quality right-handed arm. Miles Drew Johnson. I like Fairhope this year. I think they were close to winning 30 games last year. May have won more than 30 games last year, and took Auburn to three games in the Elite Eight, and was at that game 3. So I'm going to go Fairhope. I like Fairhope. Fairhope, Daphne, Robertsdale, in that area 1. But we both called Fairhope to be the favorite in that area, so I'm going to stick with them, and stick with them as my sleeper in Class 7A.
And Grissom did win it last year. Yes, it was Grissom that won that area. Sparkman finished runner-up.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Sparkman Senators staying up in North Alabama, Class 7A? I'll let you take this one if you're good with it being in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Sparkman, again, we just talked about Sparkman. They finished runner-up in that area, and they bring back a lot of their everyday starters from last year. Brenner Vandewinkle on the mound. You've got Ryan Gross there. You've got Will Pecha. You've got Braxton Williams, big first baseman, sophomore. Just a physically imposing 2027. Listen, I think Sparkman, and I try to pick my words here because we don't want to say anything that anyone can take the wrong way. This is said in the right way. I believe Sparkman surprised some people last year by qualifying for the state playoffs. And again, that's not disrespectful. That's a compliment.
Do you know Sparkman's record off the top of your head, what it was last year?
Probably like 21-16, 17. No,
they were
like
27-9 going into the playoffs. 27-9 going into the playoffs.
Yep.
With wins over, they beat Helena, they beat Hoover, they beat St. Paul's, James Clemens, Hueytown.
Yep. And listen, again, I want to make sure my words come across the right way. That's a compliment. And Sparkman, apparently they learned how to win and beat quality teams, as you just said. So I think they could be a sleeper team. And I like that area they're in with Grissom. We've already tabbed that we thought Grissom was the favorite. You've got Grissom, you've got Sparkman, you've got Huntsville, and you've got Albertville. That is, we both picked Grissom, but that doesn't mean that we think Grissom's a shoe-in. I think that's an area that can go a lot of different directions. We both tabbed Grissom the winner. Well, if that does happen, that runner-up spot would be between Huntsville, Sparkman, and Albertville. And you would have to think that Sparkman would be right in the middle of it, along with Huntsville and Albertville as well. So, here's 2 questions that we had sent in.
Hold on. Let me throw this one up there.
Oh, Cap's dad. There you go. All right. That's in Austin's neck of the woods, so he'll make sure he'll be there. Thank you, Mr. Burks. We appreciate that. We've got 2 off-the-wall questions here. We're going to be really quick answering these. The first one is, again, this is off the wall. Who do you think is going to win the SEC championship in basketball? Well, I don't know who's going to win the SEC in basketball, but here's what I am going to say. I don't think I've ever enjoyed watching college hoops as much as I have this year. Alabama has long been a football state. We know that the baseball in this state is very good as well. But right now, man, it's hard to say that the basketball is not ruling this state right now. And I don't, maybe not ruling it, but it's really important. I'm going to say the SEC champion, and I guess I'm going to take the easy way out. The SEC champion will reside in the state of Alabama, whether that be the Crimson Tide of Alabama or the Auburn Tigers. I know that February the 15th and March the 8th, when they play each other on a home and home, will go a long way into deciding that. But I'm gonna say it's coming from the state of Alabama. I probably took your answer too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard not to. Yeah, hard not to say Alabama or Auburn right now. That's going to be I know we were talking. It'd be fun to see Duke lose. They're not going to lose tonight. They're up like 30, but Duke maybe lose to Clemson. And then that Alabama-Auburn game on the 15th would be number 1 versus number 2. That'd be pretty cool for the state.
Yes, it would. And the next question to that, who do you think wins the SEC in baseball this year? I've got 2. I'm going to let you go first, and I'm going to go with 2. It's probably the same 2.
Regular season or the tournament?
I don't know. Let's just go regular season.
Regular season, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably say Texas A&M or Tennessee.
I'm going Tennessee and LSU. Tennessee or LSU. Yeah. So, so we answered those. Again, both those a little off the wall there. Our next question.
We got a bunch of questions in the comments too.
Well, let's get to those, and we'll go back to we'll go back to where we had.
Start up
How do you
top.
think Donahoe?
Donahoe in that area will look.
I think
Donahoe, Cold Springs, 2A Area 11 with Cold Springs, Falkville. No. Area 13 with Cedar Bluff, Gaston, Sandrock, Pleasant Valley, and Donahoe. Probably have to think Donahoe would be the favorite going into the season, but things can change. Donahoe is always a really good program. But, those other teams, Pleasant Valley, Gaston, Cedar Bluff, Sandrock, we'll see how the season plays out. Our next one, who are the 2A region favorites? I assume Class 2A.
You may take a stab at it?
Yeah, I've got a couple teams in mind.
Okay. I'm going to go 2A Area 1. I'm going to go with Bayshore. Was the question, are they asking who the 2A, like the favorites? They say region favorites, but I think they mean area favorites.
Okay. I was thinking they meant class. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll run through 2A.
I'm going to say Bayshore area. I'm going to say Cottonwood in area 2. I'm going Pike Lib in area 3, man. Ooh, area 4. There we are. Ayrton and GW Long. Woo, man.
I'll go Ayrton.
I'll go GW Long. I think I'm going to go GW Long. Area 5, I'm going to go with
Roll Tide Willie, Highland Home.
Roll Tide Willie. Don't give up. Oh, never mind. You're going Highland Home. I'm going Central of Haneyville. I think both of them made the playoffs last year. Area 6, give me Reeltown with Jamarcus leading the way on the bump. Area 7, I'm going to go Tuscaloosa Academy. Area, if you want, you can speak up if you want to.
Yeah, I'll interrupt if I disagree.
Area 8, I think it was Horseshoe Bend and Ranburn last year. I'm going to go with I'll go Ranburn. Area 9, I'm going Vincent, legit state title contender. Area 10, I'm going Red Bay, man. That was the team last year. We were warned about all year long. And Red Bay's now they got a little target on them now.
We didn't listen.
We didn't look. You're right. But Red Bay comes back. Area 11, I'm gonna go Summerton Christian in their move up after winning the state championship in 1A last year. Area 12, I'm gonna go with Southeastern.
I'm going Susan Moore.
Okay, all right. That was the two I was deciding between.
God, I'm blinking on the left-handed pitcher, committed to Shelton State, Susan Moore.
Yeah. Area 13, we just talked about. Give us Donahoe. Area 14, I'm going Mars Hill. That's another legit state title contender. Was runner-up a year ago. Area 15, give me North Sand Mountain, the Bison.
Corbin Hamrick.
Yeah, Hamrick. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then in Area 16, man, that's a good one. I'm going to go Decatur Heritage. I'm going to go Decatur Heritage winning Area 16.
Yep.
So, again, that's our 2A region favorites. Prattville's going to be
Leor Berman.
Leor Berman. Astronaut Leor Berman. I like it. Speaking of basketball, it's a great time. That's a great segue. Prattville's going to be a team to look out for with 7 returning starters. You're right.
Good young talent, too.
Yep. They do have some good young talent. We saw several of them at the Central Alabama Fall ID this past year. Coach Murphy, how do you see from JSU assistant coach Mike Murphy doing this season as head coach at Athens High School? Coach Murphy is well respected, has done a great job on the collegiate level for years. I believe, and he's taken over a program that's in good hands. Athens High School, that's a base, they also are very involved in their athletics. What a playing surface at Athens. I do think Athens will continue to roll right along there in 6A. I think they're going to continue to be a contender in the north part of the state. I can see Coach Murphy doing a good job there, and we wish him the best. And then our next question.
Pull it up. There it is.
Oh, man. Thoughts on Florence High School? I think it's a little bit of a rebuild this year. They've got some younger talent, coaching change there.
Preston Solomon.
Yeah, Preston Solomon. But I think that's and they're in a little bit of a rebuild right now. And they're in a very tough area with Bob Jones and James Clemens. And so, I think Florence can surprise some people, but again, they're going to be depending on some younger guys there. Our next
Henry
question.
Thomas Blank, Eli Martin, a couple other guys too for Florence as well.
Any thoughts on Gulf Shores versus Orange Beach on February the 21st? It will be played on the dirt in Gulf Shores, not on the turf in Orange Beach. Whoa, that's a little shot at Orange Beach. Well, let me just say this. That is part of our South Alabama Showdown. And every year we do match up Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. The first year we had the South Alabama Showdown. It was at Orange Beach. It was at Gulf Shores. Last year it was at Orange Beach. I think Orange Beach beat them for the first time in school history. And now this year it's back at Gulf Shores. And I do know that every year Austin always asks, can I cover that game? Raucous environment. Man, I'm not going to make a prediction there. I'm sorry, man. I'm not going to do it. But we're looking forward to it. And we set that up on Friday. We set it up on Friday night at 7:00 every year.
I've got something in my right hand. I think I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for the playoffs.
I was wondering why you went and left. Yeah, you got a little something in your right hand. Only certain people know what that is.
I'm going to save
it. That'll be good. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Our last one. Oh, man. More serious question. Who's going to have the best food y'all visit? Easy. Bob Jones, Chad Martin's last year of cooking. I know, man. So I've got to – yep. You're right. But I mentioned earlier, I hope Chad will still feed me, man. Last year he had a little note for me when I went to my table to sit down, but it was all in fun. But you're right. That is some of the best food at Bob Jones. That's one reason why they made one of our favorite places to visit. So thanks to all of you for getting those questions in. Again, if there's some more, get them in there. If we have time, we'll get to them. I'm trying to keep this at about an hour. We're getting close to 50 minutes here. So try to get this thing going. Here's an interesting question here. What do y'all think about public versus private schools competing for the same state championship? You want
You're more versed in this, being a former coach, seeing it, kind of knowing the. You would have a better viewpoint.
It's a tricky question, and it's one a lot of people ask, about public versus private. And, we do have the AISA here in the state of Alabama, but private schools can choose to be a part of the sanctioned Alabama High School Athletic Association. I do believe that our state has tried to do things the right way. Okay. And again, when we go to a game, we don't care if we're there to see two private schools, two public schools, a public versus private. We don't care. Okay. And we don't really have a dog. We don't have a dog in this fight. But I do think that our state association has done a good job trying to equalize the playing field, because whether some do it and some don't, or vice versa. And then I know some people are going to say, well, there's public schools that recruit as well. I get that. I get that completely, all of it. But, private schools, again, they can limit enrollment. They can sort of control enrollment. And I know there's public schools that do that as well. I'm not saying all of them do that, but what I am saying is the High School Athletic Association has done a good job in using the multiplier, the 1.3 that at private schools, every student counts 1.3 instead of 1 like at a public school. And then they've also, I forget the wording it's called, but it's something that there's a point system. It's
not competitive. You've already said competitive balance, haven't you?
No, I said the multiplier. Competitive balance. Yes, competitive balance. In that private schools, the farther their teams go into the playoffs, they get more points. And once and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but once you achieve so many points, if you reach like the Final Four, the state championship series, the Final Four, then your points are going to accrue and you're probably going to move up a classification. There's not a right or wrong answer to that. It's an opinion question. And again, without a dog in the fight, I do think I'm going to wrap it up with, I think our state has done a good job trying to equalize it. I can understand where public schools can see we're competing against a private school that can do different things. And I also see the private school side as well, that, we don't do this. We're not recruiting athletes, and so that's a tricky question. But again, that's the best answer I've got for you.
The state does do a good job, because you don't really see anymore like the smaller class programs that just win state championship. Now, there's teams that'll run off a couple years of state championships, but like Summerton Christian won 1A last year, and they move up to 2A this year, and that's not because they won the state championship last year. That's not the whole part of it, but just kind of an example.
Yeah, and we've got three more questions, and we'll wrap this thing up. Just letting our listeners know how many we've got left. Austin, you can go ahead and read us the next one.
Who is the best player you've scouted or watched in the state since you've been with Prep Baseball Alabama? Now, to preface, we started back in 2018. In 2018 and 2019, I was still in college, so I was kind of in and out. Didn't go watch as many games as I am now. Kind of was started full time at the start of 2021. But you have been full bore since 2018. But we got asked the same question last year, and I have the same answer. Riley Quick, right-handed pitcher from Hewitt-Trussville, was in the 2022 class, was the number 1 prospect in Alabama in the 2022 class. He's currently in Alabama, had Tommy John last year. He's come back this year. I think he's pretty high on D1 baseballs, right-handed pitcher, kind of preseason poll player rankings for right-handed pitchers. And he was, you hear the definition of you give a guy a ball and, you like your chances, you're going to start 1-0 in the series. That's kind of how it was when Riley would go out. I remember seeing him in the state championship series in 2022, Hewitt-Trussville against Central Phoenix City. And anybody who's watched Central Phoenix City play, they are 1 through 9. They are consistent, tough outs, hard to strike out. And and credit Riley Quick. He was able to. I think he was 7 innings, gave up like 2 or 3 hits, 1 walk, like 7 or 8 strikeouts. Best I remember. Pitch count was like 80 or 90 pitches. I mean, it was up to 93 or 94. Big extension, really good slider. Like he was as good as it gets from what I've seen doing this for the past 4 to 5 years. So I'll go with Riley Quick, and it looks like he's got a chance to have a big year for the Crimson Tide this year.
And, he became an asset for Alabama last year. Obviously, he was out the whole year, but he became sort of like a student coach for them. If you watch their dugout, he was always up on the top step with the coaches. Coach Vaughn, he was up there with him just about the entire time. And I think that they actually gave him some duties and tasks with the pitching staff last year. So, kudos to him. That's a tough time, to miss the entire season, but he was able to make something out of it. And again, he's going to set himself up for a big year this year. Mine, maybe I'm not answering the question fully because he may not be the best player I've ever seen. He's one of the best. I go back to seeing Gunnar Henderson at Morgan Academy years ago in the Gulf Coast Classic. I think it was in 2020, I believe. Obviously,
no, it had to be before then, hadn't it?
18 or 19. Let's see.
It may have been 19.
Let's see. I'll let you look that up. But I'm going to go with another guy from the 2022 class. And again, he might not be the best player, but he's one of the best ones I've seen. We hated to see him leave the state, and his numbers that he's put up since he's been in college have really spoke for themselves. And that's catcher in the 2022 class from Mobile Christian, Grant J. He was a member of our 2021 Future Games team, where he went over and just showed out. A big physical. He's what a catcher. If you cut out a catcher, he's what a catcher looks like. He's probably 5'11", probably 215, 220, and it is 100% muscle. I mean, he looks the part.
Big old
trap. Shoulders and traps. Yes, he looks the part, and man, he can really swing it. He can do both. He offensively, he can bang the ball around the park. I think he had 20 home runs his freshman year at Dallas Baptist or something.
Freshman year, he was up there. Yeah,
he had like 24. And then and is obviously a catcher. So I loved covering Grant J. Enjoyed being around him at the Future Games. So maybe he might not be the best player I've ever seen, but he's right up there with them, and he's one that I enjoyed seeing. The next question. Man, this is a good question. I got an answer. What do you think is best, natural grass or turf?
It's an easy question.
I'm going to answer this for you. And I'm going to say this. I consider myself a baseball traditionalist. I consider myself a purist in the sense of, I'll go ahead and say it, I don't like all the bat flips. I don't like that. This is my opinion. I don't like it all. I think you should play the game the way it's supposed to be played. I don't like the bat flips, to showing up the opposing pitcher or hitter, vice versa. And, the traditional side of me says, let's stick to natural grass. But in my opinion, this is an easy answer. It is turf. If I'm a coach, man, it is turf all day long. And we know the reasons why. I mean, you don't have to drag, you don't have to water, you don't have to put grass seeds down, you don't have to cut, you don't have to line, you don't have to do anything. Austin, I haven't even told you this past Monday, Dre Barrett says 100% turf. You know why, right? The boys at Hope will have a turf field. Just this past Monday, I was talking to Coach Dismukes at Elmore County, just moved over from Wetumpka. And he said, Coach, I did something this week I ain't never done. I said, what's that? He said, it was pouring down rain at 3:05, and at 3:15, we were taking ground balls. Mm-hmm. And so I think just the ease of just everything involved in turf, I think it's a no-doubter if you can do it.
Yeah. I'm going turf too. Yeah. True hops, being an infielder, low maintenance, and I think it looks better, honestly.
Hey, and best of luck to our man Dre Barrett this year. Best of luck.
Last question that was submitted on the Google form. Thoughts? Now, this was this the question that was left over from last week to Shooter?
Yeah, this is one for Shooter that we transferred to this week. Yes.
Thoughts on Class 7A Area 6 being the toughest area in Alabama? I think you would be right. Obviously, Area 6 in Class 7A is Hoover, Hewitt-Trussville, Vestavia Hills, and Oak Mountain. I think 7A Area 6 on paper looks to be, going into the season, looks to be the toughest area. But also you have Area 4 and Area 5, with Area 4 being Auburn, Central Phoenix City, Opelika, and Smith Station. And then Area 5 being Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, Prattville, Thompson, and Tuscaloosa County. So those are three good areas, but I agree. I think Area 6 is definitely the toughest area in 7A.
Without a doubt. I agree with you there. And we've already made our picks there, but that's 4 teams, and 2 good ones will get in and two good ones will get left out. Do we want to take a shot at a couple of these questions over here?
Yeah, it looks like we got 3 more.
3 of them. Yes. Yeah. The first one is, what do you like about Hewitt-Trussville this season? That may be our man Hudson, right? Huddy Mitchell.
I think so. Yeah, Hudson Mitchell, 2028.
Yep. You want
to start with Steele Hall, the number 4 player in the 2025 class, Tennessee commit. Hold on, I accidentally threw that one up there. You have Drew Allis, Colby Durden, Christian Helmers coming back, Cooper Huffman. They've got a good amount coming back from last year's team. Lose Brett Mosley, who's at Ole Miss now. But yeah, Hewitt-Trussville, every year you know what you're going to get. Quality with guys who are going to go on to play at the next level, and that's what you get when you, especially, that we come off talking about that 7A Area 6, and Hoover and Vestavia Hills and Oak Mountain all can say the same thing. It's just, whoever those 6 games at the end of the season, determine your postseason fate. So Hewitt-Trussville is looking poised for another big season. Our next one, we've got what is your top 10 teams in 6A? We're going to wait to answer this question. Those questions will be out, or those classification polls will be out next on our podcast next week. So be on the lookout for that. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Thoughts on Northridge team this year? I think Northridge is going to be solid again this year. Evan Malone leading the way on the mound. You've got other guys, and one guy who we highlighted in our 2026 rankings update yesterday. That's Tate Dunn, a guy who we are really, really high on. Looking forward to seeing him this spring. Northridge looking like they're going to have another big season, led by Coach Bell. Our last one, what do you like about Vestavia Hills this season?
Vestavia Hills is going to be solid. Yeah. I mean, they always are. But our leadoff hitter, man, see our man Carson Mann at the top of that order.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be at the top of that. Well, I don't know if he'll be at the top of the order, but he will be somewhere in the top of that. I'm not saying he'll hit leadoff. I think he hit leadoff last year for them. Just a competitor, fierce competitor on the football field, baseball field. He'll get after it. Vestavia, obviously, we've talked about that area. They're in that 7A Area 6, and it's going to be whoever's playing the best at the end of the season.
Yeah. William Tonsmeyer, Chase Rafferty, Gavin Smith, Will Langston, James Lucas, Bruce Littleton. I think Bruce is going to be a big piece for the Rebels this year. So another team in that Area 6 who there's plenty of talent to go around in that area.
No doubt. Well, man, I think that will wrap us up for tonight. 2 things before we get off here. The first one is we talked about this upcoming podcast a couple times on this show. Don't forget, next Monday night, February the 10th. That's Monday night, February the 10th at 8 o'clock. We will be releasing our preseason classification polls. That is in 1A through 7A. That's what we'll be doing next week. Obviously, it's the week of the first games. So again, we'll be sending out some reminders on our social media channels. But don't forget, Monday, February the 10th at 8 o'clock. And then the last thing, concluding or finishing this episode up, don't forget all things that you want to see that are relative to the high school season this year. You can find on our website, prepbaseballreport.com/Alabama, and up on the black task or the black toolbar across the top, you'll see AHSAA. We already have there the 3 events that we're putting on. That's the Kickoff Classic, the South Alabama Showdown, and the Small Town Showdown. And then we've got all of our team previews that we've done. We've gotten over 90 team previews this year. So Austin has been working on those. We're going to get those out. Yeah, he's been working on them. Going to get those out before the season begins. And then once we get into the season and we get our weekly scout blogs out on players that stand out at games, we'll be putting that there as well. Mr. Pearl, good night to you as well. Wish Jacob the best this year at Montevallo. But for Austin Sharp, I am David Sharp. We appreciate you jumping on with us, and we look forward to talking with you next Monday night at 8 o'clock. Take care, and we'll see you then.